your inspiration. You're not having the choice but to experience many of the inhumane atrocities perpetrated upon our people. You are our heroes, and you will always serve as an inspiration to those who have been fortunate to enjoy the life we lead today. Thank you for being here.
For all of you who are the survivors, the people who traveled on the St. Louis, and your family members here in support of you, we thank you for coming together this time as you have in the past. And it's particularly noteworthy that we're doing this literally a couple of miles away from where the St. Louis actually was in the waters just off Miami Beach. It's certainly an acknowledgement and recognition of the United States' role in not taking action to give you the opportunity to come to the United States at that time at a momentous point in history, which may have sent a signal to other countries, not only to our own country, but to other countries around the world in terms of taking Jewish refugees from European countries.
The play for you today will really be a backdrop, because it will be the jurors that will speak to you from their hearts, a welling up of emotion of 70 years since the voyage of the St. Louis. They will give you their testimony after the play, and we can consider it on one level a theater production, but in another level it is a real trial shaping our understanding of the reasons and the causes for the Holocaust as we try to search for meaning. So I invite you to pay very close attention to the testimony of the jurors, because this will be a unique moment in history for all of us, and one which we will carry for the rest of our lives.
Franklin Delano Roosevelt, late Washington, D.C., is charged with complicity by acts of omission in the crimes of genocide.
Acts of omission have grave consequences. When confronted with the horrors of racial and religious persecution, the defendant failed to act. When confronted with the horrors of genocide, the defendant failed to act. When advised of a plan to destroy the apparatus of the death camps, the defendant failed to act. It was this president who persuaded an isolationist Congress that the Nazi aggression posed an imminent threat to world peace.
President Roosevelt should stand.
Our passengers will serve as juries. This is an unscripted moment, and I myself don't know what they'll say. They're 70 years, 7 decades later, in which in that time they've had the opportunity to contemplate, perhaps every day, the turning away of that ship which has changed the course of history and changed the course of their lives.
Why didn't he leave the children, the women? Why didn't he leave us down? We were innocent people. He showed the world that nobody wanted us. Why? Because we were Jewish people.
With the denial of the passengers, the ability to disembark from this vessel, gave a message all over the world that this country, as well as Canada and the other countries in Central and South America, had no interest whatsoever in saving these people.
There are 32 countries. They talked for 9 days, and at the end, every country said how horrible the Jews are being treated in Germany and something needed to be done. But each country said, we have too much unemployment, we have this going on, we have that going on.
But remember, the St. Louis sailing occurred 7 months after Kristallnacht. There was no question at that time what the Germans were doing and what the result of our going back to Germany would be.
Roosevelt, whether he really should be guilty of not having taken action, there's no question in light of the evidence that was available to him that he is guilty of this.
significance of the St. Louis voyage is that it gave the Nazis the green light for the final solution.
America is a better country today than it was then.
So I pledge to you that this document will survive forever, and the story that it tells will remembered forever as well.
Men, women, and children, whose only crime was to have been born Jews. Today are gathered here survivors, family members, surrounded by friends and representatives of the U.S. government. Today the world is very different from what it was when you tried to find a new life in America.
Personal and professional thrilled to be in the presence of 33 St. Louis passengers, and not just anywhere, but here, of all places in Miami Beach, the scene of the crime, so to speak, 70 years ago.
We are very conscious of our history. We are trying to forward this also to our young people to keep the memory.
It's a great honor to accept this resolution on behalf of the Schindler Foundation, who continues the message of righteousness among the nations and what it means for one person to be able to make a difference, to show that one person can speak out against injustice and evil and has the potential to save many lives. In fact, our motto is, "He who saves the life of one man saves a world entire."
The survivors from the St. Louis and all those who have given their testimonies will continue to speak to generations to come, and through their stories, we also remember the 254 people who were lost in the St. Louis, the 6 million Jews and millions of others whose voices would never be heard.
Being in a position to draft this resolution and work for its passage has been such an honor, and it's such an honor to receive it today on behalf of the Neighborhood International in its final form.
Those who failed to extend that hand were not indifferent to the plight of the passengers. They simply lacked the political courage to go beyond the strict rules and regulations. And humanity and human decency demanded it.
The Jewish Museum of Florida is honored to be one of those chosen by the National Foundation for Jewish Continuity to receive Senate Resolution 111.
This is the 70th anniversary this year. It was 1939 that ship was turned away, and coincidentally that this year Senate Resolution 111 was passed, not as an apology for what America did as far as turning the ship away, but rather an acknowledgement.
Shalom, shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom ve'al kol Yisrael.